and welcome to the Utopia of Nerd News. I'm Sarah.
And I'm Adam.
And, of course, we have some awesome, a lot of game news going on today.
Yes, we do. Obviously, this week is huge in gaming. We had the big Microsoft announcement for the next Xbox, which we'll get into in just a second. Not a whole lot as far as the movies and TV shows go. Tell you right now, probably half the show is going to be video game related content. We're in kind of that build-up stage towards E3 now, where it's just games. So
Games.
I'm happy about it.
Me too.
The first thing, the new Xbox. It's called the Xbox One, meaning all-in-one. What are your thoughts on it? I mean, for me, it's huge. This box is huge. I think that it's fine if it's big, as long as it runs properly. Because if you remember, the 360, for the first few years, though, had the red rings of death.
Yep.
As long as they can try and prevent something like that, I'm okay with the big size and the fact that it's a hideous-looking monstrosity of a machine. Mm-hmm. And it goes against everything that modern technology is, which is trying to make everything, like, smaller and sleeker. This is just a big, huge box. It looks like it's even bigger than the original Xbox. And on top of that, you have to use a Kinect with it.
Yep.
And the Kinect is another that. So, I mean, you're looking at, you know, a box that's probably like that, and then probably a Kinect that's another that for your home entertainment system.
They want you to buy a bigger home entertainment system.
Well, they want this to be your home entertainment system.
I know.
Yeah, they want this to be your home entertainment system. I mean, the Kinect, obviously they're saying it's working a lot better, which is good. I mean, it can't be a lot worse than the original one was. It was awful at picking things up. This one's supposed to be able to, like, pick up your vital signs, like your actual person ones and things like that. We kind of have to wait and see how it's actually going to work when it's in a house and things like that. You know, staged presentations aren't exactly the best for these kinds of things. You know, he was showing the grabbing and the moving and, you know, not using a controller and just using your hands, but what happens when you're with a group of people and people are waving their hands? Like, is it going to start moving the screen? Like, how is it going to know? Is it just the grabbing motion he was doing and then the throwing?
I have no idea.
Because what if somebody's, like, talking about baseball and they're like, you know, got the fastball and he threw it? Is it going to all the way across your... Like, there's so many questions about it that we won't have answers for a while.
Yeah. I feel like it's making people more lazy. Like, instead of, you know, like, people thought grabbing the remote and sitting down on the couch was lazy. I mean, oh, we have a Kinect, and you could just, you know, go from TV to your Xbox. Like, you don't even use your hand anymore. I mean, you lift it and stuff, but I just feel like it's making people a little more lazy. Like, you don't have to go grab your computer to do your fantasy football stuff anymore. You can just put it on the side.
We'll get to that in a bit.
But I don't know. I'm not okay with it.
Another thing with it was there was a thing that kind of just slightly leaked out about something in the past. Xbox, or Microsoft, I suppose, went for kind of a patent that failed. And I'm glad this failed, because if this was true, what they were trying to put in was the Kinect would read how many people were in the room, and if it exceeded a certain limit, it would make you pay extra.
Oh, that's dumb.
Yeah, but that's not a thing. Fortunately, that was...
Good thing that was silenced.
But if it ever comes back,
Nope.
Remember where you heard it first.
No.
Another thing is, no backwards compatibility for the Xbox One. I don't care that much, to be honest. PlayStation 4 doesn't have it. The Wii U doesn't have it. It's just not going to come. Fortunately, we have things like cloud-based systems and whatnot. My only problem is the way they said it. The rumors leaked out before the event, right? We talked about it a little bit. Where they didn't want to mention it during the actual press conference. They waited till afterwards for questioning before they even mentioned it. It's not like Sony, who was basically, we apologize, there were problems with the PlayStation 3's design. That's the reason PS1 and PS2 weren't compatible with that. We can't make it compatible with the PS4, we're sorry. And we might be coming off as like Sony diehards, both of us use the Xbox as our primarily thing, the 360.
Yep.
As our gaming console.
Which I used to use Sony a lot, so.
I think it's safe to say both of us are in the category of we're going to go with whatever looks the best.
Yep.
So we'll want to get that out there right now before we continue on any farther. One thing that I really, actually two things kind of blended into one that I hate so much. The first one, and this one kind of makes me a little bit upset, no used video games. First of all, GameStop and other video game retailers are in a lot of trouble because they make more money off of used games than they do the new ones. That's why they're always trying to shill out deals with buying used games. I hate it. No used games. That means we're going to have to pay full retail price to play a game. You can't get used ones years later. What's this thing about, like, with PS1 and PS2 games right now, when you're picking them up, usually you don't find them or buy them new.
Right.
You buy them used.
Mm-hmm.
So, literally, the hardware discs will be completely useless in the future because the only way to get these games are going to be through online reasons. You can't get the new ones 10 years from now.
I feel like, you know, when you are a gamer, I mean, I feel like you sometimes go back and you're like, okay, maybe there are some games I never tried that I want to try. Like just recently I got introduced to Suikoden 3, and that wouldn't have been able to happen with all this stuff. That wouldn't have been able to happen if there was no used games for the consoles. I mean, there are so many good nostalgic games that people don't know about.
That aren't on the PSN, the XBLA, the Steam, anything like that, right? They're just, all they have is old console discs.
Yep.
And what's even worse than the no used games, and this one, oh, I hate so much. The console will register whether or not it's your account playing the game you purchased. Say, if you want to borrow one of my games that I purchased full price, you're going to have to pay another retail type price. They didn't say how much. Most likely it'll be close to full retail price. I can't share my discs with you.
That's stupid.
That's gone.
That is so... That's ridiculous because... I mean, how many times do you share a disc with your friend? I mean, like, or I borrow a game from you.
Well, that's the reason why. That's the reason why. They want, oh, if you want to play it, you should have to pay the full price or close to, even if you're not even going to own the disc.
No one's going to be happy with that one.
It's so stupid. I can think of multiple times where I had a friend over. So let's take Dragon's Dogma, for example.
Yes.
I had a friend, one of my best friends, he came over, he played it, he loved the game, he purchased it himself. He started playing through it. He beat it himself. He got another friend into it. Because he borrowed and played my copy, that was 2 more sales for the game.
Yeah.
It kind of goes back to, if you remember back when we kind of talked about Nintendo and pulling their videos and stuff. When people see, like, video games are a different type of content, right? Mm-hmm. You want to play it. You even if you want to see it, you still want to play it. You think, oh, this is actually good. I want to pick it up for myself. It's not like a movie where you watch it and you've seen it. You know, that's it. It's not like that. It's not like a TV show. It's a video game. It's meant to be played. You want to play it. If it looks good, you want it.
It's like picking out a car. Like, you want to test drive it before you get it. I mean, obviously.
Yeah, and like
you know how it runs.
How many bad games like Aliens Colonial Marines came out? People thought that might be good. The game bombed horribly and everyone hated it. It's really sleazy. And the worst part is, like, they know it. You know, they're doing this strictly for the bottom line, which is completely against what they were doing with things like the 360 when they were adding in like how they were making it so there was like the indie section like right up front on the XBLA and things like that. They were really accessible, and it's gone, you know? Yep. It's all about purchasing the new game. Also, this takes in, because we know EA's being connected with all this pretty well. They were like the first thing that wasn't Microsoft on their big announcement. We had the big like, wow, did EA actually do something good? They got rid of online passes.
Yeah.
Guess why? Because they didn't matter. Xbox went out of their way to make those a thing of the past. So they're like, oh, let's go out in front of them so we'll look like good people.
Let us down EA again.
And the thing is, Nintendo and Sony aren't doing this. you can still borrow games for them.
Good job.
How is that going to affect Microsoft? It can't be in a good way.
No, of course not. It's gonna bring them down, if anything.
Like, for the neutral people like us, like, we're like, oh, if I can't share my games and stuff, like, what happens if your console breaks down to, like, a serious degree or something happens and you have to buy a new one? You have to buy your whole library again, or is it going to connect with your account? There could be a lot of things. One kind of cool thing is they did say that within the first year of the Xbox One, there'll be 15 exclusives. 8 of those will be new IP. They announced one called Quantum Break, which we can't really say anything about, good or bad, yet because the entire trailer was live action.
Yeah.
So that's what that was. We don't know about the other IP. I mean, the non-new ones, what could they be? They could be Connect Sports, Connect Fitness. They could be things like that too. Fable. I mean, they could be things that nobody has that great of an interest in, or not a lot of people. Like, not a lot of us hardcore people have that much interest in. I mean, we lost faith in Fable. We're not going to talk about that anymore. With some of the new ones, hopefully we can see something pretty good at E3, though. Keep in mind, all this we've said, they structured their entire thing towards hitting a non-gamer market. So we know E3's around the corner, so maybe they'll open it up and they'll be nicer to us people and give us a reason why we should want an Xbox One. Yeah. Right now, there's not one. There's not one. Unless you're a fanboy of Microsoft, there's really not a reason to get it. I mean, right now they're pretty far behind. Yeah, hopefully though at E3 anyway, we'll get something that looks good. They'll focus a little bit more on the gamer. Problem is, the people who were watching the big Microsoft announcement for the next system weren't the neutral people that they aimed it towards. They aimed it towards the wrong audience. The people watching were the people interested in the games, and they never mentioned the games. The games they mentioned, Forza Motorsport, for people who like racing games, whatever. They mentioned some sports games, really the most casual kind of things you can think of, and there was not one bit of gameplay footage during all of them. It was all rendered footage or live action in the case of Quantum Break. Whatever. Right now, they're digging themselves into a pretty good hole.
Yep.
Sorry, Microsoft. The next thing is, we kind of touched on a little bit earlier, but EA and the NFL both made deals with Xbox.
Of course.
Yes, all the big evil entities together. EA, they said for their sports games like FIFA and stuff, that they're like card-based side games and stuff that I don't know anyone that play, but I'm sure there are people who do. Like, that will be exclusive to Xbox. I don't think that's going to affect many people, but if that affects you, you probably want to pick up an Xbox. That's about it for EA. I think because they already said all their other games are still coming out to the PS4. They specifically said that in a thing afterwards, that it's not like they're taking them off PlayStation. So really, they got a whole huge segment for almost nothing. So, way to work at EA. You just worked Microsoft over pretty good. Yeah. And the NFL, who has a pretty good sized deal with them, where you can get your fantasy football teams and all your updates on the NFL over the Xbox, but they didn't say, and this is a big one because we know how the NFL likes to work. It's a lot like how they like to work apparently now. Is it going to cost you extra? They never mentioned it. Good or bad. So, who knows? Another little thing is the Xbox One is going to have a Blu-ray player. Now, if you want to say, oh, well, what took them so long, the PlayStation 3 had one, it's because that console generation, the PlayStation 3 went out of their way to make it an exclusive deal, because the Xbox, at the time, there's a thing called the high definition, and Xbox sided with them, and obviously it went under to Blu-ray pretty quick after both the consoles came out, so people probably just forgot.
Yeah.
But now with the next generation, those contracts are over, and they both have Blu-ray players. Yay! A little bit of gaming news. A game that was kind of shown during the Xbox thing was the announcement of Call of Duty Ghost, and it has dogs.
Woo!
Nothing they showed looked all that revolutionary outside of the graphics, but you expect the graphics to be better on an next-gen game, so it wasn't that blown away.
Yeah.
And we don't know how great, because they like zoomed in on the dog and stuff, and they looked amazing, like really amazing. But again, we know there was going to be new, updated, good graphics, but we also didn't get to see gameplay footage, so we didn't get to see what they're actually going to look like in game, because it might not be as good.
Right.
Because that was pre-rendered pictures and stuff they were showing. And they kept touting things like if you run into the water, the fish are going to swim away from you. And if you're running full speed and there's a little wall there and you jump over it, it's going to look real. Those are things that have been in games since nearly the PS2. I'm not a Call of Duty fan, but it doesn't look that great. Away from all that stuff, Grand Theft Auto 5 Special Edition came out with what all it's going to have. It's going to have a steel book with art of the 3 main characters of the video game, a blueprint map of Los Santos, which is the make-believe city that it's in, and a boost to in-game special abilities bar, your in-game special abilities bar, more stunt plane in-game challenges, and bonus weapons and outfits.
Congratulations.
None of that sounds all that great. As somebody who doesn't mind picking up a special edition, that one doesn't sound all that enticing. But they also have the collector's edition, which comes with everything that the special edition comes with, including a security deposit bag, I'm not kidding, a hat, the ability to use classic Grand Theft Auto characters on online mode, an online mode specific car, and an offline single player specific motorcycle. Pre-orders for both of those also get an in-game like air blimp they can use. Yeah, so all those it doesn't appeal to me. It's basically a bunch of vehicles and in-game vehicles. And
but for you Grand Theft Auto people who are looking forward to Grand Theft, congratulations. Maybe you'll go pick up that collector.
So you can get yourself a security deposit bag.
And a blimp.
So if you remember a little while back, EA and Disney basically came out and said that all the Star Wars games were going to be made by EA from now on.
Yes.
Well, we've got our first little hint of news from that. We know EA is kind of a corrupt, evil kind of giant corporation. That's the way they're perceived and that's the way they run things.
Yep.
But they do have good developing companies.
That's good.
The first one is Visceral, who did the Dead Space games.
Okay.
And the other one is DICE, who did the Battlefield games. Both of them have begun production on next-generation Star Wars games.
That'll be cool. I'm excited for that.
Right. The Dead Space franchise, I doubt it's going to be a survival horror Star Wars game, but they have experience with, space and action-y stuff, because the third one's an action game. And that could be pretty good. And with the Battlefield crew, because they did say they're not against doing the next Star Wars Battlefront 3 that everyone's been wanting forever, that completely missed this generation. And they would be the perfect group to do it, So that's some exciting news for the Star Wars video game front. A fun little side thing that happened, again with the Microsoft big announcement, is since then to, I believe, today, Microsoft stock has dropped 0.66%.
I'm sure.
And here's the real funny part. Sony's has risen 9.25%. That's an absurd jump.
Yeah.
In less than a week. It's huge. That's a lot of money right there. And kind of almost in an odd sense, kind of a classical video game type news, Atari USA filed bankruptcy a little while ago.
Oh. And
to kind of work their way out of it, they're selling 15 of their video game franchises. So those are up for sale. Most of them were just small stuff you might not have ever heard of, but the big one is the Roller Coaster Tycoon. And they're selling, these are in an auction format, and it's going to start at $3.5 million, that one. The others are obviously a lot less, but so we might actually get to see another Roller Coaster Tycoon, because you think somebody's going to be willing to throw 3.5 out for a classically popular franchise, and if they're going to put that kind of money out, they're going to want to make a new game. So we could be seeing a new Roller Coaster Tycoon game in the works. And in the last bit, finally, the last bit of video game news,
yes.
it was announced that Deathstroke would be a playable character in Batman Arkham Origins.
Uh-oh.
We don't know if that means like single player, because there is a multiplayer aspect, but he may be a single player, kind of like Catwoman was in Arkham City.
Ooh.
Who knows? Finally, we are getting 2 movies. There's not a whole lot on the movie front. It was kind of a slow week, which is good because we have so much video game stuff.
Yeah.
But the one real big piece of news was, if you remember a little while ago, I think it was last week actually, where Joss Whedon confirmed Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver.
Yes.
Well, we've got some fighting going on now because it was announced this week that Quicksilver was just thrown into the X-Men Days of Future Past movie.
What?
Yeah. So it means one of 2 things. Either one, 20th Century Fox has decided to co-work with Disney and maybe have a Quicksilver for both movies, which would be the good news.
Yeah.
But the far more unlikely news is that they're still fighting with each other, because that's what all the big groups do. And they're trying to rush their Quicksilver out first. Because we don't exactly know how the legal reasons would work. Either A, they wouldn't be able to use him in Avengers 2, or B, there would just be 2 separate actors as Quicksilver, which would be confusing.
Yeah, it would be so confusing.
The actor they picked up was Evan Peters from the American Horror Story. I haven't seen it, but good for him, because this was literally just thrown in to their already absurd cast. So we've got a couple movie trailers.
Yes.
The first one is for Byzantium. Byzantium, for those who don't know, because it's obviously not a popular movie, pre-release at least. It's a vampire movie. It's a little bit darker and more kind of traditional vampire-y than Twilight's kind of crapped on version that's everywhere. So what are your thoughts?
Well, I thought the vampire phase was over.
I did too.
Second,
Gotcha.
Just kidding. It didn't look horrible. I mean, it looks interesting, but again, I thought the vampire phase was over.
First thing after seeing, my favorite thing was I really liked the music used in the trailer. I thought it was a pretty cool song.
Yes.
Outside of that, though, as far as the music goes, like you, I thought it was over. But I wouldn't mind like a good vampire one that's like a interview with a vampire one to kind of bring back the what vampires should be kind of a thing. But I don't think this is going to be it.
Yeah.
And there was one line, like at the very end of the trailer, where, because this is based around 2 lead female vampires, and one of them talks to the other one about how she told everything to her boyfriend and stuff. I was like, no, don't do relationships. Relationships and vampires, if you want to separate yourself from Twilight, you don't touch relationships. But they did, and I think that's a huge mistake. They done goofed.
They done goofed.
And the other one is the 4th and final trailer for Man of Steel. What were your thoughts?
I'm just ready for the movie to come out. I feel like,
I wish there wasn't this trailer.
Yeah.
The 3rd one was perfect. It didn't tell you too much. It didn't tell you the huge overarching story of the movie. But it gave you enough action. It gave you what Zod's gonna look like. It gave you enough, right?
Yeah.
And this one, I think, went too far. I think they showed too much. Now, if you watch this trailer, it'll be down in the section below with the other trailers we'll be doing. It spoils too much of the story. We know what it's about. To probably too much of a degree. I wish it wasn't the thing.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, although it looks epic,
it looks good, but... And my last thing, jumping onto TV... another thing, kind of going back to the video games at the Xbox announcement, they announced the live-action Halo, not really TV show. They kept calling it a TV show, but kind of TV show. It's an Xbox show. They dropped the word premium, which we don't know if that's going to mean you have to pay extra. If you're going to get it, if you have gold, who knows? They threw Steven Spielberg out there, which is kind of comical because he tried to convince us all that he was a gamer because he played Pong in the 80s. I'm not going to watch it. I'm not like a huge like Halo fan. Like, I'm not a huge fan of shooter games. I don't know. I've never seen much of a real great lore to a Halo game. I know I've had this discussion with you. I just haven't seen that. It's not like an Elder Scrolls game or a Dragon Age or a Mass Effect or a lot of other game franchises that actually do. I think Pokemon has more background story than Halo does. I mean, Halo's just it's a war in space.
It's a long war.
So that's it for me. I'm done. Finally, I will let Sarah move on now.
So not a whole lot going on in the anime world today, but just kind of building up from the last couple episodes where I talked about this. Studio Ghibli's Poppy Hill, it earned $19,752 in the 10th weekend. And it's going on into its 11th weekend. I have a feeling this is just going to be like this summer, the whole summer, because they just keep adding theaters, and that's great. It seems to be going strong, and like I said, they just keep adding theaters. Their grand total for right now is $928,999.
When are they breaking that million mark?
I don't know. Maybe soon.
Maybe.
Moving on to Aniplex's Sword Art Online. It is going to be set for TV broadcast on Toonami in August, which is exciting. It looks pretty cool. They're also outlining its home video release on Blu-ray and DVD, and Aniplex's anime Blue Exorcist is also going to be re-released on DVD, and they're going to have a release for the first time on Blu-ray as well. So that's really cool. If you're not quite sure what Sword Art Online is about, it's
.hack.
Not all .hack. It is the players of a virtual reality MMO RPG. Online are trapped and fighting for their lives.
As opposed to not going into a coma.
After it is announced that the only way to leave the game is by beating it, Kirito, a very powerful swordsman, and his friends take on a quest to free all the minds trapped in the world.
No, see, we just talked about this before we were filming, but
yep.
This is a show that she didn't know this, but I had really high on my to-watch list. I was actually planning on watching it fairly soon, the Japanese version, with the subtitles. So thought that was kind of funny. I'm looking forward to it. Besides my jokes about how it's completely ripping off .hack.
It does look a little like .hack. We both agreed.
A little bit of .hack in there, but it looks good. I've heard really good things about it, so if you haven't seen it, feel free to check it out, whether you want to wait for the
Toonami TV release.
Toonami, the DVD for the English dub, or you just want to watch it soon, and you can watch the Japanese with the English subtitles.
Yes.
Or whatever other language you may prefer.
So that's all I have for my anime news. Just going back to the manga stuff, just the top 5 on the New York bestsellers list.
Here we go.
Starting down from 5, we have Pokemon Adventures, Volume 16.
I'm surprised Pokemon's not on there more. Pokemon's very popular with the kiddies.
Yeah, and Pokemon is like forever long, as well as Dragon Ball Z. But that's a whole nother story in itself.
And number 4.
And number 4, we have Bakuman Volume 19.
Okay.
Which, it's about boys going to school, stuff like that.
Is it a boy romance?
I don't think so. But I don't know.
Number 3.
Number 3, we have Blackbird Volume 16.
Is it based off the Raven by Edgar Allan Poe?
I don't think so.
Okay.
But I don't know.
What's it about, Sarah?
So
Dance
in the Vampire Bund is about a princess, Princess Minna. She is trying to find a safe haven for her people. Number 1, we have Naruto. Naruto. That's the New York bestsellers top 5 for mangas.
And mangas.
So moving on to some book news, there is a very exciting book news that I'm going to have to keep to the end because you're going to be so excited.
Can I look?
No.
I'm going to look.
You're going to be so excited.
Mm-hmm.
So, hold up my paper so it doesn't look.
This glass is see-through.
For the first book news, there's a book called Shadow of Night. It is a novel by Deborah Harkness, and it's a sequel to a book called A Discovery of Witches. And what it's about is about Diana and Matthew time travel to Elizabethan London, where they're plunged into a world of spies, magic, and Matthew's old friends. And they're called the School of Night. They embark on a different and vastly more dangerous journey. So that's what that's kind of about. If you are a fan of the book A Discovery of Witches, I guess it had a huge cliffhanger, which this one just dives back into.
I would hope so.
Yeah.
So I hope they didn't just ignore it. That would be pretty bad.
That'd be horrible. So that's really cool. If you're into that book series, it's now a series, pick it up. You might
or put it down. Whichever you feel like.
Really cool. It comes out May 28th, which is Tuesday. Star Trek came out, this past weekend. And so this one is Star Trek, the original series, The Shocks of Adversity. And it is by William Leisner. And what it's about, it deals with Captain James T. Kirk and his crew on the Enterprise. They are attacked by the Domain's enemies, which cripples the starship's warp. Are they caught in a trap with the Go Edge leader?
It's a trap.
It's a trap.
Sorry, Star Trek fans. We just threw Star Wars into the world.
Yeah, we did. For the big news, Mass Effect. Mass Effect has a book coming out. It's called Mass Effect Library Edition Volume 1. And it is a super deluxe, oversized, hardcover book collecting every Mass Effect comic to the date.
Do they have Blasto? Blasto's the Hanar Spectre. There's a comic book about him.
Oh, yes, I didn't know that one.
I told you about it forever ago.
Yeah, you told me about it forever ago. The collection includes 4 of the Mass Effect series, Redemption, Evolution, Invasion, and Homeworlds. And there's even a revealing sketchbook section and more.
Oh.
So that also comes out, I do believe, May 28th. So, Mass Effect fans, if you're into the comics, the Mass Effect comics, pick it up. It's probably worth it.
This week, we will have our review for the first season of Era, or I will have my TV show review. And I'm very DC this week. This is DC week. Hide Marvel, yes. Hide Marvel and Mass Effect. This is DC week. And up there, don't uncover that. Up there is the subscribe button. I don't know if that works on mobiles or not, but if you're on a computer, you can see it up there. And over there is the mystery box. You should click it because it'll have something hysterical in it because I already know what it's going to be.
Oh, okay.
Alright, see you guys next time.
See ya!